And welcome to the Clean Air Zone. I'm your host, CK, and we have an exciting show for you today. Today we have Jill McDowell from Toronto Public Health, Caryn Thompson from South Riverdale Community Health Center, and Ashrafi Ahmed, a resident from Regent Park. They're here to talk to us about top tips for creating healthy environments for kids. Let's start by introducing ourselves, so tell me more about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Jill McDowell, and I work for Toronto Public Health. I'm a health promotion consultant.
Okay. And you?
My name is Caryn Thompson, and I'm a health promoter at South Riverdale Community Health Center here in Toronto. And in my position there, I work mostly with parents and expectant mothers around avoiding environmental exposures during pregnancy and early childhood.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Ashrafi Ahmed. I'm one of the residents of the Regent Park community, and also these 5 tips I'm working with CPCHE as an inclusion researcher.
All right, so tell me more about this campaign. What's it about and why is it important for people to see it?
The campaign was developed by the Canadian Partnership for Children's Health and the Environment. The acronym is CPCHE.
CPCHE.
And it really does address a lot of the pollutants that we find in our homes. Everyday pollutants like toxics in dust, cleaning products, the chemicals that come from cleaning products, mercury in fish. And so there's a lot of different things in our indoor environment that we're not aware of.
Right.
And so the campaign is really aimed at helping parents to become aware of these indoor pollutants and how they can take action to reduce exposure or their contact with these pollutants.
Okay, all right. So what are the top 5 tips discussed in the video?
Okay, so the video also comes with a brochure.
Okay.
And this outlines the top 5 tips. And they each have a catchy title. So bust that dust, go green when you clean, renovate right, get drastic with plastic, and dish safer fish.
All right, so what is the health risk from too much dust and why is this a problem for kids?
So when we think about dust, we think about something that can make us sneeze,
Right.
or allergies. That's what comes to mind. But there's a lot about dust that we don't know.
Like?
And for example, think about the items that are in your household. So we have furniture that has foam in it.
Right.
We have computers. We have the paint that's on our walls. We have the products that we use. And everything that's really made in our homes is made with chemicals or substances. So over time, there's wear and tear. The furniture actually breaks down, you can't see it, but a lot of those contaminants and chemicals are moving into our common house dust. When you use a really strong product, like a strong cleaning product or a room spray, for example, the chemicals that are used to make that product stick to our house dust. So what happens with the child is, because they spend so much time exploring their environment, babies in particular, with their fingers, and they put their fingers on the dust and that goes into their mouth. So they end up consuming, they eat a lot of that dust.
Right.
So they're actually consuming a lot of the chemicals and toxins that stick to the dust.
Right, right. So what are some of the best ways to eliminate dust from the home?
So best way to eliminate would be, well, firstly, if you have an opportunity to get rid of a carpet, that would be my first
Eliminate
tip.
carpet.
Get rid of your, if there's a chance to get rid of old wall-to-wall carpet, and you're considering maybe you want to get a new carpet, I would recommend replacing it with a bare surface floor.
Okay.
So here's something that you might not have known. In 1 square meter of old carpet, you find about 400 times the amount of dust
Ooh.
as in a square meter of bare surface flooring.
Right.
So it's a huge sink for
It just
dust.
traps it, just holds it in.
It traps it,
Yeah.
okay? So let's say you can't get rid of your carpet. Then what do? Well, we recommend that you vacuum frequently with a good quality vacuum if you have one or if possible. And to get rid of the dust on your bare surface floor, to use a damp mop or a damp cloth to get rid of the dust on surfaces. If you dry dust, like if you take a feather duster or just a dry cloth, and you wipe your coffee table clean, that dust is just going to go up into the air,
Right.
and you're going to end up breathing that.
Right,
So
you're
you
just putting it in another place.
you don't get rid of it. Yeah.
Okay, so how many times do you recommend people to vacuum or use a wet mop if you have a child that's constantly crawling on the floor?
So we recommend twice a week if you have a crawling baby. So once a week if you don't, but if you have a crawling baby, twice a week to do the wet mopping and vacuuming.
We're going to talk more about babies and why are babies and children more at risk from harm from toxic substances?
This is a really important question, and a reason why we focus on the developing baby and children in our resources, because we know this is a vulnerable time for children when they're exposed to chemical substances. So babies and children are not just small adults. Their physiology is different and their behavior is different than adults. So particularly babies and children are growing and developing. So their brains are developing, their internal organs are developing. So this puts them more at risk for damage from contaminants or chemicals. And particularly when cells are dividing, this is when they're most at risk of having damage. So that's why we're really concerned about children's exposure to chemicals. And if you look at the way children eat and breathe and drink, they actually eat and drink more per body weight than adults, about 4 times as much per body weight than adults. And if you've ever watched a child breathe, they breathe at much faster respiration rate. So they're intaking more air compared to adults. So they're getting a higher concentration of chemicals, and so that can affect them more directly. One of the third reason where children are more vulnerable is something that Jill touched on, is their behavior. They're closer to the ground. They're exploring everything they touch. Everything gets put in their mouths. So if there's any chemicals that, particularly that are stuck to dust and that are on their toys, this goes right into their mouth. So they're getting a direct exposure to chemicals. And once exposed to chemicals, their pathways of metabolism and detoxification are immature, so they have a harder time eliminating the chemicals that they've been exposed
and their
to.
immune system is still being built. It's not
And their immune system, exactly.
For babies. Okay, so what is BPA and how harmful is it to our bodies?
Okay, so BPA is a term that we hear quite often in the media now, and it stands for bisphenol A. And it's a chemical compound that's used to make hard plastics called polycarbonate, sort of like these kind of hard plastic bottles. And it's also used to make epoxy resins, which are used to line metal, beverage, and food containers. And we're concerned about BPA because the research is showing that it can affect children and developing fetuses' developmental processes that affect their brain and also adversely affect behavior. And there's emerging research around links to possible certain kinds of cancer. It's an endocrine disruptor, so it can affect hormonal development, reproductive. And the recent research is around links to obesity as well.
Just from BPA being in something that you're consuming?
Yes, consuming, and particularly leaving the product and getting into our food or drink.
So are places now manufacturing things without BPA in it?
And often we see that quite often.
BPA
Most
free.
drink containers will have a symbol on it that says BPA free. We often see this on children's products like soothers or teethers. And so you'll see BPA, a logo with a cross out through the BPA.
Are manufacturers doing anything to do with the cans instead, since the epoxy is...
So there is some movement towards changing the epoxy resin in tin cans. It's hard to know a product you buy off the shelf whether the lining is BPA free or not.
Right, you won't find out until you open it.
Yeah, you could call the manufacturer and ask them if their lining is BPA free.
I hear there's a lot of mercury in fish and it's really bad. So why is mercury harmful to like an unborn baby that's still in production?
Right. So, well, fish is a really healthy source of protein and omega-3 fatty acids. So we're saying eat fish. Fish is good for you, right? But there is mercury in fish for sure. Now, the way that mercury gets into the aquatic system, it's a byproduct of industrial processes. So those energy generation plants that use coal goes up into the air, the emissions, they end up going into the water system, the fish take it up into their tissues. So the larger fish that eat the smaller fish, they're the ones that have the largest source of mercury in their bodies. So we know a lot about mercury, and we know that mercury can affect the healthy development of the brain and the nervous system, and especially during fetal development, during pregnancy. What can happen is the mercury actually crosses the placental barrier and can reach the baby during a very vulnerable time of development, which is later on in pregnancy when those brain cells are being developed. And how that manifests itself, or how it could manifest itself later on in life, it could affect that child's ability to learn and to walk and to talk. It can create any kind of impact that's connected to our nervous system and our brain.
So mercury is bad.
Mercury is not good for your health. But there are fish that you can choose that are lower in mercury. So there's a great resource that Toronto Public Health has developed. It's
Okay.
called A Guide to Eating Fish for Women, Children, and Families. And so what this is about, it's about choosing healthy species. Okay, and it depends on who you are too. Like if you're pregnant, there's certain fish and certain amount of servings that we would recommend during the pregnancy stage. And
Okay.
young children would have a different serving depending on their age. So we have fish species that we've listed that are safe to eat often, safe to eat sometimes, and avoid or eat rarely. So some of those species, I bet you're wondering what they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Safe to eat, here's just a couple of examples. So bassa, tilapia, Arctic char, Atlantic mackerel, sardines, rainbow trout, and herring.
Why should pregnant women and children stay away from areas that are being renovated?
Yeah, so often when we have a new baby coming into the house, we want to get the home ready or make a room for the baby.
Yeah.
And there's certain practices that happen when you're doing renovations that can cause chemicals to get into the environment. Often paints or glues or adhesives or caulking can contain a group of chemicals called volatile organic compounds or VOCs.
Right.
And those can be toxic to the developing brain and the developing bodies of children and young babies. Often we might take down walls or sand old windowsills, and in older homes, particularly before the 1990s, there might have been lead in the paint.
Oh dear.
So lead is no longer allowed in
Yeah.
paint for the last sort of 25 years, but older homes there might be lead in paint, and when you take down walls or sand, you can that lead can enter into the air, and babies can breathe this in through the
Right.
dust. So we really want to make sure that they're not exposed to lead. That we know there's very, very solid body of evidence that lead is really detrimental to the brain. So you can get a test from a hardware store to see if there's lead, but we recommend that you exercise caution at all whenever renovations are done. There's a few other places that chemicals can come during renovations. Old insulation might have asbestos.
Right.
And so anytime you're doing any kind of renovation and you have a pregnant woman or a young child, the best advice is to, if possible, remove them from the home. So if they can stay elsewhere, that's a good recommendation. If that's not possible, to put up to seal off the area with like plastic sheeting, and then when the renovations are done, make sure all the dust is cleaned up and the fumes are aired out before the children or the pregnant woman
Right.
returns.
So after, say, you finish a renovation on a Sunday, is there like a waiting period before, like, because I know I go into renovation places and there's still that smell, like, oh, this is a new kitchen, you know, it's like.
Yeah, so some advice would be right from the get-go, try to use products that are what you call low VOC.
Right.
So right now we have a lot of options for painting and priming and caulking to look on the package and see if it says low VOC or low odor. So start right from the get-go with having less toxic products, a lower VOC, and then make sure that that's fully aired out. It can take 3 days or more. Maybe use of a fan can help,
Right,
opening
right.
windows so that odor is gone. And as Jill mentioned with the dust, really doing a good job with cleaning up the dust with a wet mop or a wet cloth to
Okay.
make sure it's really cleaned up.
How has your participation in implementing the 5 tips video improved your environmental awareness?
Yeah, especially when we start doing some Women's Health Circle through the Christian Resource Center.
Yeah.
So that time, the first time we get training from Public Health and the South Riverdale Center. These 2 ladies, they coming to us and they help us very much. And that time we first know there is a lots of thing. It's really directly impact on our environment. So after that, I really very much aware about my environment. Before, I have no idea how the fragrance affect directly
Right.
as my healthy lifestyle and also the environment.
So really, they came as a godsend to you. Like, oh, I had no idea.
Because sometimes we never recognize why you
Right.
feel sometimes if any of our peer or friends use strong fragrance, we have some little bit headache
Right.
or some sneezing when there is some dust.
Right.
So now we are very much aware.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are some of the tips in the video? Realistic? Were they easy to implement in someone's daily life, like your life? Was it when you saw the video? Was it easy to adjust to your life?
Yeah, especially as like Caryn and Jill, they already talk more about the 5 tips, but I really like to add when we watching the videos, it's really clear
Yeah.
information as like a renovate right when if there is any pregnant woman or young
Right.
kids, it's not okay, and also the plastic thing. You also have some ideas today. And maybe next time if you bring lunch, you don't put
No,
in
no
the microwave,
microwave dish, no.
because you're aware, yeah. So
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and also the household cleaning product. Before I'm using some as like a more toxic thing because I need to clean faster. And after the women's health circle, we realized no, this is not appropriate. So I changed as like now I like the baking soda to clean my stove and also the bathtub.
Uh-huh.
So it's really great.
So you buy baking soda and vinegar in bulk now? You're like,
Not bulk as like I buy as like a one this kind of baking soda almost 2 months ago. It's still
okay. Yeah.
it's more.
It's lasting a long time.
And it's also I like one thing. It's also reduce the odor. Sometimes your refrigerator has some bad odor. If you put only small bowl,
Right.
it really takes away.
Yeah.
And also before I use some air freshener in my washrooms, and now I put a little bit baking soda.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
In a small
So
bowl
take all the
and
plugins and put in baking soda. That's good. Good idea.
Then you can bake a cake after. if you want.
So many wonderful uses for baking
We
soda.
save our money too.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who is interested in making these changes in their life, and how can they get started?
Yeah, I really like to tell people it's not one day you change everything, just a little bit slowly.
Right.
That is easy way. Day by day they change a lot, and if we tell okay this is good, it's really too much for new people. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
better just maybe start from baking soda
Start
with
that,
white
yeah.
vinegar.
Yeah.
And if they have a small kids, they just choose the detergent. It's less fragrance or scent free.
Right.
Or maybe baby product when they buy the lotion for babies or cream, just scent free.
Unscented.
Yeah, unscented or scent free. It's really great.
Okay.
Let's start, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I think
Thank
that's
you
pretty
very
much
much,
it.
yeah.
So, Jill, Caryn, Ashrafi, thank you
Yeah.
for joining us on the
Thank
Clean
you.
Air Zone. I've been your host, CK, and that is it. For more information, you may contact if you want the video. So, how can they get this video?
Yeah, so to get any of the resources with the tips that we talked about today, they can go to the CPCHE website. So that's the Canadian Partnership for Children's Health and the Environment, CPCHE. And their website is healthyenvironmentforkids.ca. So they can go there and they can get these great resources. There's some wonderful tip cards too, if this is too much to read. Each tip area has a little tip card. Like, so that's, the bust that dust, get drastic with plastic, dish safer fish, go green when you clean, and renovate right. So you can go to the CPCHE website for this, and you can order the video. You can go online, actually. It's on YouTube. So the video is online. Go to the website, and you can just click on it, and you can watch the great 13-minute video. And if you're interested in getting more information from Toronto Public Health, you can go to our website, toronto.ca/health, and you can get the fish guide, and we have some other great resources on environmental health as well.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you next time.